everyone, and welcome to my channel. If you are a returning viewer, thank you so much for stopping by. You, I'm sure, are aware that it has been a very long time. I'll get into that in a minute. And if you are new, thank you so much for stopping by and checking us out. I'm Lydia, and this is Vintage Nectarines. So, like I just mentioned, if you're a returning viewer, you know that the last time you saw my face on this space was Christmas Day. So I hope you all had a wonderful Christmas and a New Year's and a Valentine's and a St. Patrick's Day because it is now April and it is the first time that I have stopped by to say hello. So I just wanted to come and chat with everybody and show you guys all the really fun game I created to select my books this year, show you what I got for April, and just to kind of catch you guys up on life. So I'm gonna get a drink of coffee really quick. And I am still drinking hot coffee because here in the wonderful state of Washington, it is spring, but it is 32 degrees today and it snowed yesterday. What? Like, I have daffodils and magnolias outside, guys, and snow. But anyway, so I generally tend to kind of overcommit in December between doing Vlogmas and just all of the activities with my kids for Advent. And so I always kind of intend to take a little bit of a break in January. I did not, however, intend to take all of January, all of February, and all of March off. But we adopted a puppy. I'll insert some pictures of him here. If you follow me on Instagram, you've seen some, and he also has his own Instagram account. If you're interested, I'll put it down here. But we adopted a puppy in February. And his name is Cooper James. He is a Siberian Husky. Yes, I know he does not look like it. Siberian Husky Shar-Pei Pit Bull. And you guys, we just adore him. We love him so much. And our older pup, London, who we call Lundy, she's a Black Lab Collie. She also really, really enjoys him. And we've noticed that she has become much more active since having him around. So that makes us very happy. But puppy life has been no joke. It was a little rough for a while. We've had London for a long time, and it has been a very long time since we've done the whole puppy thing. So it was a lot of sleepless nights. It was a lot of teaching him how to not chew on things. He already did take out one of my books and one of my favorite bookmarks, but it's okay. My mistake. So that's why I haven't been around a lot, because there just hasn't really been a lot of time. And in addition to that, life with my kiddos has been a little bit crazy because my daughter is in drama at our Homelink program, and she is the stage manager. So she has play practice and their classes have just been more busy. So I just have been doing the mom and puppy thing. So I just haven't been around. But I missed you guys. And so I wanted to come and hang out for a little bit and talk books. I'm also hoping to do a reading wrap-up. I participated in the Murder, She Read read-along that Heather of the Disney Housewife and Abby of the Disney Sisters and Nina of Wrestling with Books and Wrestling with Disney did. And I would love to talk about that because I also paired that with middle grade March. So I read all middle grade books. So I'm hoping to film that reading wrap-up as well. I'm probably not going to do a reading wrap-up of all of the books that I've read so far this year because I'm currently reading in my 20th book. So I don't know if I'll go back, but I might try and be better moving forward. So I think my puppy just came outside. I'm out in our schoolroom, and I think the kids just like, yep, he's over there in the tree. So, but anyway, I've been chatting long enough. Let's get into my fun game. So I had this idea. My friend Rachel for Advent this last year, if you watched my Vlogmas videos, you know that she gave me a murder mystery themed bookish Advent. And that Advent kind of spurred on a video series that I started last year that I'm hoping to continue this year called Freaky Friday Fiction, where I read murder mysteries or books that are a little bit more on the creepy side, my version of creepy since I don't do horror. And I do those vlog style. So I read them kind of along with you guys and give you my, play-by-play and my immediate reaction. And so that kind of sparked another idea of creating a Clue-inspired board game that would help me pick my TBR for this year. If you followed along for a while, you know that each year I try to give myself a different way of picking my books. So last year I did them all based on color. And so February was all pink books. March was all green books. April was all blue books, so on and so forth. This year I was like, okay, how could I make a Clue board? So I originally in my head had this idea to actually make it look like a Clue board where it had the different rooms, but that became more difficult. So what I ended up with is just this board that looks like this, and it has all these different hexagons, and each one is a different color and has a different number. So instead of having the board really have anything to do with Clue, I chose to have my prompts be that way. So basically, I roll a dice, and I just have my little blue dice that's got all different numbers on it. And I roll that, and each time, so I add. So let's say I roll 3 the first time, and then I roll a 3 again. I don't stay on 3. I would then add the 3 to the 3 and make it 6. So I just move forward. But each color corresponds with a category, and those categories are based off of the board game Clue. And I also have my queen chess piece that is my little piece that I move around the board. So yellow is, of course, Colonel Mustard, and that category is difficult. So in this category, I could get anything from a book with a new to me author. I have to start a series, a book I keep putting off. I have to draw a secondary category card, which are these kind of fun colored ones at the back, which also have their own spots on the board. I could finish a series, read a book with more than 500 pages. So things like that. I also have Mrs. White, which is people, places, and things. So in this category, I could have things such as a book with the main characters being children, a World War II book, a book with multiple characters, a book with a map in it, a book with a major city in it, things like that. Red is, of course, Miss Scarlet, and this one is all based on appearances because Miss Scarlet seems a little bit more of the uppity board game piece to me. A book with lots of colors on the cover, a book with flowers or plants on the cover, a book with a blue cover, and I did blue because I have a lot of blue books that I still need to make my way through. I also did a book with a black cover because blue and black are the covers that I have the most of. A book with a weapon on the cover, a book with a person on the cover, a book with gold detailing, a book with decorative chapter headings, and a book with a building on it. So basically what I do is I roll whatever number I get, I pick a colored card, depending on what color I landed on, and then I randomly select one of the cards in that category. I only have a certain amount of time. I think I gave myself 1 minute to find my clue, find my book, and I'm only allowed to veto 1 time per game. So far, I've only had to veto once, and that was this month, which I do have footage of myself rolling for this month, so I will include that in the video. Back to the cards. So purple is, of course, Professor Plum, which is all about title. So a book with a color in the title, a 4 or more word title, a book with a number in its name, a 1-word title, a character in the title name, a book that starts with one of the letters in my last name, so a B, an R, an O, a W, or an N. My last name is Brown. A book that starts with one of the letters in my first name. My name is Lydia, so L, Y, D, I, or A. And a book with an animal in the title, or a 3-word title. I haven't actually gotten Professor Plum a lot, so I'm hoping that I do at some point. Green is, of course, Mr. Green, and these are just random prompts. Read the newest book on my shelf. Read a book that's been on my shelf the longest, read a retelling, read a classic, read a nonfiction book, read a middle grade book, read a true story, read the shortest book on my shelf. And then we have Mr. Peacock, of course, which is phone a friend. So for this one, put a name of a friend on a card. I have my husband, my best friend, Rachel. I have my friend, Sarah. And then I would ask them, of the books left on my shelf, which one do I read? And then we have secondary categories because I liked the idea of pulling in the rooms from the board game Clue as well. So I have the dining room, which is read a book that relates to food. The billiards room, a book where a game is played. The conservatory, a book with a haunted or enchanted forest. The ballroom, a book with dancing or music or a Regency book. The library, a book about books or a book with an author in it. The kitchen, a book that relates to or references potions or poisons. Another billiards room, a book where the game is afoot, so like a murder mystery type. Another conservatory one, a book with a garden. And the study, a book with a school. So it has been a lot of fun. Sometimes I have to pick a secondary category based on a card that I get, or sometimes if I land on it, I do that. So I've done that for both January and February, and now for April. I did not do it for March because I participated in the readathon. But it has really made my TBRs a lot of fun because each month I'm getting different styles and different authors and, you know, lots of different genres. And so it's made my reading easier to get through because I'm not stuck with one thing. So I've had a lot of fun. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys what I rolled for April. My daughter helped me film it, so I'm sorry that the camera is a little wonky. She was kind of walking around with me in the living room while I was pulling my books, and then I will read you guys the information on the books that I selected. So I always roll for 4 books because I made a goal this year of trying to read 5 books a month, and then if I listen to additional audiobooks with my kids because we're in the car so much, that's just a bonus. So I rolled for 4 books, and then I also have a 5th book that is usually my buddy read because Rachel and I have so many of the same books. So she and I read a buddy read every month. Let's get into what I got. So I'm going to use my sweet little game board that I created and roll for my April TBR. So the whole idea is that I roll a number, pick the category, and then I only have a certain amount of time in which to select the book. So if I go over my time limit, then I have to roll again. So 5, it's blue. So we go to blue, which is Miss Peacock, Phone a Friend. I got Rachel. So I will ask Rachel which book she wants, and then I will show you which one she selected. So as you saw, my first draw was a blue card, which was Mrs. Peacock, and that was Phone a Friend. And so I contacted Rachel because she was the card that I pulled, and Rachel wanted me to read The Lady and the Lionheart by Joanne Bischoff. I think that's how you pronounce her last name. And this is one of Rachel's absolute favorite books. So I'll read the back of it to you. It says, raised amid the fame and mystique of the big top, Charlie Lionheart holds the audience in the palm of his hand. But while his act captivates thousands, it's away from the spotlight where his true heart lies. Here, he humbly cares for his pride of lions as if they were his brothers, a skill of bravery and strength that has prepared him for the most challenging feat yet, freeing an orphaned infant from the dark bondage of a sideshow. A trade so costly it requires his life in exchange for hers, leaving him tarnished by the price of his choice. As the circus tents are raised on the outskirts of Roanoke, Nurse Ella Beckley arrives to tend to this gypsy girl, all under the watchful eye of a guardian who not only bears a striking resemblance to the child, but who protects the baby with a love that wraps around Ella's own tragic past, awakening a hope that goodness may yet reign. When her forbidden friendship deepens, Charlie dares to ask her for her heart, bringing her behind the curtain of his secret world to reveal the sacrifice that gave hope to one little girl. A story that satisfies the heart and soul. So it sounds very good, and it's circusy, so I love circus books. I'm very excited to read this one. And inside of all of the books, I have put these really beautiful bookmarks that my daughter Emma made me for Christmas. So, and I'm not necessarily reading these in the order that I drew them. I'm just showing them to you guys in the order that I drew them. 1. So we yellow. Nope, because remember we add. So 1 will become 6, which is red, which is Miss Scarlet, Appearances. Okay. A book with a person on the cover. Okay,
Ooh,
so let's see.
Your lovely colored bookshelf. Book with a person on the cover. Pride and Prejudice.
The next one I rolled for landed on red, and it's Mrs. Scarlet, and that's appearances. And the prompt I got was a book with a person on the cover. So I chose Dutch Girl by Robert Matson. And this is a story about Audrey Hepburn during World War II. So near the end of 1939, 10-year-old Audrey Hepburn flew from boarding school in England into the Netherlands, which would soon become a war zone. What she experienced in 5 years of Nazi occupation has never been explored until now. Dutch Girl sets the story straight, revealing the Nazi past of Audrey's parents and how their daughter dealt with this information. The book explains her career as the most acclaimed young ballerina in Arnhem, her involvement with the Dutch resistance, an active role tending wounded of the famed Bridge Too Far Battle of Arnhem, and dark months in the line of fire as the Nazi regime suffered its last gasp. Dutch Girl is a definitive biography that uncovers an extraordinary story of courage, tragedy, perseverance, and triumph, enriching the legacy of the world-famous actress, fashion icon, and humanitarian. Dutch Girl has been called a true gift by Hepburn's son, Luca Dotti, whose powerful foreword alludes to the lock and key that kept this wartime story a secret for Audrey's lifetime. This book sounds so good. I knew a little bit about Audrey Hepburn's time in the Dutch resistance, but not nearly as much as what I think I'm going to find out in this book. And so I'm very excited to read it. And the book has really beautiful pictures of Audrey's life in it. And I have always just really loved Audrey Hepburn. So I'm very excited to dive into this one. Again, a beautiful bookmark that my daughter made. Well, again, 9, 6 plus 9 is 15. Which is green. Ooh. Mr. Green, random. Okay, let's see what we get here. Read the last book I received as a gift. Last book I received as a gift.
Would that be the one from Rachel during Advent?
Yes. What was my last book Rachel gave me as a gift? Next, I rolled and landed on Mr. Green, which is the random category. And as you saw, that prompt was the last book I received as a gift, which actually I remembered afterwards that this wouldn't have been the book because I remembered that my dear sweet friend Heather gave me books for my birthday. So technically I should have read one of the books that she gave me, although I already did read one of the books that she gifted me, but it doesn't really matter. The book I selected was Hunting Prince Dracula by Carrie Manasalko, which is the second book from the Stalking Jack the Ripper series. And I just love this book. So this is the book I'm actually currently reading right now as this video goes up. It doesn't give away any information from the first book, so I'll go ahead and read the blurb. So here it says, "Bone white, blood red, along this path you'll soon be dead." Following the horrifying revelation of Jack the Ripper's true identity, Audrey Rose Wadsworth flees her home in Victorian London to enroll as the only female student in Europe's most prestigious forensic school. But it's impossible to find peace in the dark, unsettling Romanian castle that houses the school, and was also once the home to the depraved Vlad the Impaler, otherwise known as Prince Dracula. When a series of troubling deaths brings whispers of Vlad's bloodthirsty return from the grave, Audrey Rose and her sharp-witted companion, Thomas Cresswell, must unravel the cryptic clues that will lead them to the shadow-like killer, living or dead. So, I cannot recommend this series enough. I do believe there are 4 books in the series. This is only book 2. I absolutely loved the first one, and I have enjoyed this one just as much. So I'm excited that I got to finally dive into this on my TBR. I wanted to show the bookmark that's in this one as well because I love this one, and I think it's like perfect with the black and that one spot of orange for Dracula book. Okay. 5. So what were we at? 15. So now we go to 20, which is yellow time. We got a different prompt, which is good. So this one is Colonel Mustard. Difficult. I don't always like the difficult ones. I get to void or veto a role, and this one was finish a series. Okay. A veto. Da-da-da. A book I keep putting off. Okay. So last but not least, I ended up with Colonel Mustard, which is the difficult category. And as you saw, I had to veto and select again. So selecting again got me the card, read a book I've been putting off. I picked Unhinged, which is the second book in the Splintered series by A.J. Howard. I am not going to read the blurb on the back because it does contain spoilers that would give away some of the things that happened in the first book. But this is a retelling, a fairly dark and imaginative retelling of Alice in Wonderland. And I really enjoyed the first book. I was supposed to read this one last year, but I just didn't get to it, and then I just kept putting it off. So I am excited to read it. It is book 2. There is another one in the series called Ensnared. So I do hope to read that one at some point as well. But for now, I'm going to read this book, and I'm very excited. So like I said, I'm not going to read the blurb because it does give away information. And because this one is purple, I picked the Purple Flower bookmark. So those were all the books I rolled while my daughter was helping me. Rachel and I also, we rolled Professor Plum, which was title, and we had to do a 3-word title. So we picked The Commandant's Girl by Pam Janoff. I have actually already finished this book by the time this video goes up, and I loved it. I cannot recommend Pam's books enough. Rachel and I already read The Lost Girls of Paris by her, I think 2 years ago. And it was one of my absolute favorite books that I read that year. I didn't love this one as much as The Lost Girls of Paris. I felt like the end of this one left me with a couple of questions I wish would have been answered, but I still really enjoyed it. And if you enjoy historical fiction, especially World War II historical fiction, Pam's books are phenomenal. This is actually Pam's very first book. And it is the first book in a series, because I think the next one's called The Diplomat's Wife. 19-year-old Emma Bau has been married only 3 weeks when Nazi tanks thunder into her native Poland. Within days, Emma's husband, Jakob, is forced to disappear underground, leaving her imprisoned within the city's decrepit Jewish ghetto. But then, in the dead of night, the resistance smuggles her out. Taken to Krakow to live with Jakob's Catholic aunt, Krisha, Emma takes on a new identity as Anna Lipinski, a Gentile. Emma's already precarious situation is complicated by her introduction to Commandant Richwald, a high-ranking Nazi official who hires her to work as his assistant. Urged by the resistance to use her position to access details of the Nazi occupation, Emma must compromise her safety and her marriage vows in order to help Jakob's cause. As the atrocities of war intensify, Emma must make choices that will force her to risk not only her double life, but also the lives of those she loves. So that was our buddy read for this month. And we both really enjoyed it. I think we both gave it 5 stars. So that was my TBR for April. I'm very excited to get into the rest of my books. And I just wanted to share with you guys the little game I created and how it works. If you're interested in seeing this, I would love to film a TBR video for each month so you guys can see what books I'll be reading. And like I said, I probably won't go back and review all of the books I've already read this year. I do want to do my reading wrap up for the Murder, She Read readathon, which was 8 books that I finished for that. And I think moving forward, I would maybe try to do a reading wrap up each month if I can. No promises because life is busy. But thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I really had a good time chatting with all of you guys. It has been a while. I have missed it. So thank you so much for hanging out. If you liked this video, you know what to do. And if you want to stick around for more content, hit that subscribe button and I will see you very soon.